All right, let's talk about something huge, exam procrastination. But we're going to come at it from a totally different angle today. Forget everything you've heard about laziness or lack of discipline. We're going to look at the science of what's really happening in your brain and figure out how to work with it instead of constantly fighting against it.
You know this feeling, right? You sit down, you've got the books open, you know you need to study, but then this wave of anxiety hits. And all of a sudden, scrolling through your phone feels like the most important thing in the world. It's this frustrating, exhausting loop that so many of us get trapped in, especially when exams are looming.
We've all been told the same story. Procrastination is a character flaw. It means you're lazy, you don't have enough willpower. But what if that whole story is just wrong? What if your brain isn't failing you? What if it's actually doing exactly what it was designed to do, protect you from a perceived threat?
And this right here, this is the big reframe that changes the entire game. Once you stop seeing procrastination as some kind of moral failure and start seeing it for what it is, a biological response, you can actually start to do something about it.
This distinction is absolutely crucial. Your brain isn't actually running from the textbook or the practice problems. It's running from the awful feelings that studying can bring up. Think of your nervous system as a hypervigilant bodyguard. The second it senses discomfort, it slams the brakes on the logical part of your brain and shoves you towards the nearest exit, which, let's be honest, is usually your phone.
So, what are these so-called threats? Well, they're not always obvious. You've got uncertainty, that nagging voice asking, what if I can't figure this out? Then there's the big one, identity risk. What if this proves I'm not as smart as everyone thinks I am? And sometimes it's just plain old cognitive load. To your ancient survival brain, a whole lot of mental strain can actually feel like a legitimate danger.
And this is the core of the problem, isn't it? When your brain is in that threat mode, it doesn't care about your long-term goals or your final grade. Its only mission is to find relief, and to find it now. That's why cleaning your entire room suddenly feels way more urgent than studying for that final. It's not you being lazy, it's your brain hardwired to pick short-term safety over long-term gain.
Okay, so if the problem is a threat state, then the solution can't be to just try and power through it. That never works. The solution is to change the state itself. So let's talk about how you can become an architect of your own focus, how you can design your study state.
This is where we usually get it all wrong. We try to use brute force, willpower, to push through the anxiety. But listen, trying to use discipline when your nervous system is freaking out is like trying to reason with a car alarm. It's just not listening. The real key is to regulate your state first. You have to calm the alarm down. Once you feel safe, all those smart, focused parts of your brain come back online.
So how do you actually do that? Well, it's surprisingly simple. First, just slow your breathing. Taking 2 or 3 minutes for deep, calm breaths sends a direct signal to your nervous system that says, hey, we're safe. Next, clear your space. A cluttered desk is visual noise that just adds to the stress. And third, and this one is a game changer, get super specific about where you'll start. Don't just say study. Decide on the exact page, the exact problem. This removes the threat of the unknown.
Here's another little mental trap we all fall into. We tell ourselves, I'll study for 30 minutes. We start the timer and our brain gives us a little pat on the back for starting. The problem is, the reward gets attached to starting, not finishing. The fix is to stop measuring your work in units of time and start measuring it in concrete outputs. Think, I'll answer 5 practice questions, or I'll summarize 1 chapter. That way, the dopamine hit comes when the work is actually done.
Your brain hates vague, scary goals like study for the final. That's not a task. It's a giant, stressful cloud of dread. And of course, it's going to resist that. So you have to shrink the target until it's too small to be scary. Instead of study chemistry, make it read the first paragraph on page 72. It's so small, it sounds almost ridiculous, but that's the point. It bypasses the brain's threat detection system and lets you get started.
Okay, so let's take all these ideas and bake them into one powerful, repeatable system. A little ritual that can make getting started feel almost automatic.
We have to stop waiting around for motivation to show up. Motivation is a feeling. It's emotional. It's unreliable. You can't count on it. What you can count on is activation. Activation is a system. It's a mechanical process that you control. You don't wait to feel right. You use a set of actions to create the right state.
So here's what your personal launch sequence could look like. 1. Set a timer for just 5 minutes. That's it. Anyone can do anything for 5 minutes. 2. Sit at the same desk every single time. This creates a physical anchor. 3. Play the exact same instrumental song or playlist. This becomes your focus theme music. 4. Open your book to the exact page you already decided on. No decision-making required. 5. Just begin that first, tiny action. Over time, your brain learns that this sequence means it's time to focus, and the resistance just melts away.
And that's the real magic here. You're not relying on your feelings to get started anymore. The ritual becomes the trigger. You just have to start the pattern, and the pattern itself creates the momentum and carries you forward.
Now for the last piece of the puzzle, and honestly, this might be the most powerful one of all. It's about the story, the narrative you tell yourself about why you're even sitting down to study in the first place. Before you even start your ritual, just pause for a second and ask yourself this. The answer tells you everything. Is your motivation coming from a place of fear, avoiding the guilt of failing? Or is it coming from a place of growth, actually trying to get better at something? I mean, just feel the difference between these two statements. I have to study or I'll fail. You can feel the tension in that, right? It's a threat. It automatically puts your nervous system on high alert. But what about I am training my brain? That feels completely different. That's a challenge, an opportunity. One produces avoidance, the other produces engagement. And this is not just some positive thinking trick. This is biology. Each of those narratives sends a totally different set of commands to your nervous system. The threat story floods you with stress hormones like cortisol. The growth story, on the other hand, can release chemicals that are actually associated with focus and learning. So, to wrap it all up, here's your new approach. You're going to stop trying to force yourself to be disciplined, and you're going to become an engineer of your own mental state. You regulate first. You measure what you actually accomplish, not the time you spend. You shrink the target until it's not scary. You build a ritual that makes starting automatic. And you always frame your study sessions as training to get better, not just running away from failure. And that's really the ultimate goal here. You win this game not by becoming a superhero of willpower, but by simply making focus the path of least resistance for your brain. When studying feels neurologically safer and easier than scrolling, getting your work done is no longer an accident. It becomes inevitable. So I'll leave you with that. Thinking about everything we just talked about, what is the one tiny, ridiculously small action you can take to make your next study session feel just a little bit safer for your brain? Because that single tiny step, that's where all the real change begins.